Hi, I'm Myrna Ficken from A Quilter's Choice, APQS West. I want to talk to you about some free motion tips to get you going when you're new to long arm quilting and are just terrified to touch your machine and to practice. So the first thing I want to teach you is how to practice. I feel like practicing on get a sketch pad, printer paper, some sort of tablet, and a mechanical pencil. This is how I always teach my students to practice and how I started all those years ago practicing designs. The mechanical pencil on your paper gives a little bit of a drag as opposed to a whiteboard and a dry erase marker. That just wipes off, but it doesn't give you the feeling in your hand and your fingers and your arms like a lead pencil will. Also, another tip, when you are writing or drawing and your hand is down like you're writing, like the whole side of your hand is on your paper, you can't move. So if you're trying to practice a design, you get kind of cramped up there and you can't move. So get your hand, the side of your hand, off your paper. If you want to put your pinky down as a little guidance, you can do that, but it allows you more freedom in your movement. Also, don't choke your pencil. You don't have to squeeze it, just hold it very lightly and just glide with it. There are certain designs starting out that are super easy to practice. An S-curve. So we just do an S-curve. You can do it different directions. And don't worry about it if it's not perfect. You're learning. And it's much easier to quilt with your long arm and get the shapes better than on the pencil and paper. So don't worry about being awkward and not perfect. E's and L's are really easy. See my hands up off the paper? You can flip them the other way. And when I'm quilting, which I'll show you when I'm at the machine in a few minutes, E's and L's are good. Circles. Well, let me tell you, doing a circle and keeping it perfect is hard. And it's even harder when you're moving your machine. A good way to practice circles is to start out clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise. And don't worry about not being even. It takes practice. If you want to do the same thing, and it's very easy to move all over your quilt and do loops. So it's the same thing. You can go clockwise, counter, clock, counter, clock, counter, clock, counter. So you're moving around your space and leaving some areas in there that you can go back and fill in. Another one that's really good to practice is doing hearts. A heart, heart. You go into the center, follow the line back out, come back in, go back out, up to the point, come back out into the point, come back to your point, come back out. Again, my hand is off of my paper. So the flames, the loops, the circles, try practicing just zigzag lines. Don't be in a hurry. Get some lead pencil down here. What about a wavy line? You think wavy lines are easy to do until you really want to do them. The zigzags, you can do straight lines. Make them like little houses. I actually really like to do these in borders. It gives a great look. Now, I'm just free motion out here in the middle of everywhere showing you some ideas. But again, practice with either get you a sketch pad, you can get the newspaper print tablets that are big, typing paper, you can use paper with lines. I prefer not to have any. And this is just beginning free motion. Now I want to just touch on rulers just a second. Rulers is a whole nother class. I'm not going to show you how to use them today. That's not what we're doing. But if you already know how to use rulers and you don't really know what to do with them, take your rulers, put them on your sketch pad and play with them. You know, just draw, give yourself some registration lines and just start drawing with them. You can come up with a lot of ideas just by sketching with them, and that's kind of crooked, but no registration mark. Wavy ruler, you know, take your ruler and play with it and see what kind of designs that you can come up with. Very easy. So I can move it out a little bit, and now these are new rulers, so they don't have the paper off, so I can't really see through them. But I can imagine what I'm doing. Let's make some waves. So just play around with your rulers on your sketch pad. So we're gonna go over here to Millie. Another thing, when you're beginning and you've got your quilt loaded, your quilt sandwich, oh, my needle's down, and you've got all this room here, the first thing people do that are new, they look at this quilt sandwich and they freak out. It's like, I've got all this space. I don't know how to convert these little designs that I've learned into space. So the first thing they want to do is start quilting big. I mean, they could fill this whole area up here with just loops, and it's humongous. Keep your spaces small. So let's go in here. I'm gonna bring, before I do that, I'm going to talk about this. So you can take some templates or stencils. Now I just pulled out a couple here. If you want to practice your E's and L's, or if you want to practice your circles and keep them straight and consistent, take your lined stencil. This is a 1.5 inch, I think. Yep, this is a 1.5. I have these in all different sizes. So you can take your Miracle Chalk, tap it on your pounds pad. Now this is the right side. Actually, I know I have it upside down, but I can chalk my line on there, and then I can come in and do my E's and L's. Now you've also got pie shapes. This one happens to be small pieces, but I have them available in bigger pieces. You might divide a block up and make 4-patch or a 9-patch. Even though you have many on here, if you have this one to use, you don't have to quilt in every one. You could divide them up. Another great one is a 9-patch. So you want to practice little designs, you can copy on your stencil, chalk the design of your 9-patch on your fabric. Just put some fabric on and play. So let's go back over here and do something in this little 1.5 inch line, because it gives you your registration mark. So we're going to start in the corner, needle up. I'm going to pull up my bobbin thread. Now when I do a back tack, you always want to back tack your threads, and I'm just moving back and forth a little bit. This will just get you going. When you first start, you want to hold your top thread so it doesn't get sucked down underneath. You're holding your top thread in your bobbin. So then I'm just going to start doing E's and L's. Now you could go ahead and, if you weren't sure how big to make your E's, you could come back in. These are just L's. So you could also come back in. If you don't know how big to make these, you could take your stencil again and divide this space. You can see through here, so you could divide this space up and give you your second registration mark to know how to, if I'm doing an L, E, L, E, and then we're going to come back down here and let's practice the circles. Get my hand out of your way. Clockwise, counterclockwise. Clockwise, counterclockwise. Clockwise, counterclockwise. Let's do some flames. Point, 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 point. Let's fill this space up, and I'm just going to use this 9-patch to show you how to move one across one part of the block and then move up and fill it back in. We're just going to pretend that this is a big quilt. So we're just going to start doing loops. And again, don't quilt huge. We're just going to fill these spaces, go back up in there. We're going to come down into this area, work our way back up. Keep everything moving. I messed up there, but I'm just going to keep going. So we're going to pretend that this is my roller and I'm going to have to move. But I want to get back over here and fill this space up that I left empty. I'm going to come down just a little bit more. So then I can stop right here and roll my quilt and continue and fill in these spaces. Like I can work up in there a little bit. I've got space up here I can work. So when you're finished, you want these to all flow. If you look over here where I left that gap, you can't tell that I left it because I left space to go back in and fill up.